Hi, welcome to Module 3 Special Education Interviews by Rebecca Bartlett. For this assignment, I interviewed an administrator, a special education teacher, and a paraprofessional and asked them a series of questions. I'm going to present my findings in this video. The first question centered around what are the child finding procedures for special education students? And the administrator mentioned having a preschool intervention and referral team to catch any students that might require modifications early on in their academic career. Then for later on in their academic career, intervention and referral services would continue to identify and evaluate students. Students would be evaluated by the child study team. Then IEPs would be written, or responses to interventions or 504s would be written for the students. The special education teacher mentions those as well, but also adds community outreach, such as ads in local papers, health fairs, posters, websites. So if parents have concerns, they're instructed to contact the district, and then the students begin to get assessed early on. The district also meets with residents that don't attend the public schools in order to help them formulate IEPs and plans for modification. The paraprofessionals' experience was mostly with students who have already been identified, but she mentions how they're monitored by their teachers and the child study team, and there are meetings of the child study team's administrators and teachers to ensure that they are correctly classified and modifications are meeting their needs. The most challenging role regarding special education for the administrator is dealing with students who are not correctly placed and all the processes that ensue. When students are not placed correctly, negative situations and conflicts arise within the school community and sometimes with the parents of students who are incorrectly placed. For special education teachers, the most challenging is keeping the student's world consistent when they're receiving additional therapies outside of school, having that consistent language and procedures, trying to enable a constant communication with the student's world outside of the school is a challenge for the special education teacher. The paraprofessional stated dealing with unpredictable student behavior is the most challenging for her. So the behavior changes quickly and the degree of the reaction varies greatly, and just a fear of the student hurting someone based on responses that the student might have. What the most rewarding regarding special education for the administrator is the relationships built with the children, getting to help them navigate their troublesome times and praising them, then having them come back to him for that continued praise, realizing that they're establishing that strong reciprocal relationship of caring. For the special education teacher, the most rewarding is seeing the student succeed. So keeping contact with them after they're in her class and seeing their continued growth is something that she states as rewarding. The paraprofessional, she has one student, and seeing this student socialize is something that she finds very rewarding. Prior to working with her, the student did not have many friends at school, and she has enabled him to interact socially, and she's seeing that positive social growth for him. Advice on supervision from the administrator would be include special education teachers with the regular education teachers and focus on all academic endeavors. He mentioned the third grade team, so there's not a special ed team and a regular ed team. It's one team with consistent and common goals. The special education teacher's advice is to provide clear expectations to all teachers and aides, working with teachers and aides and therapists to manage the effectiveness and timeliness of the services. The paraprofessional's advice is to be flexible, to be knowledgeable, and to be ready to step in when needed. So themes of inclusion and collaboration and knowledge of special education, clear expectations are takeaways that I took from the three different viewpoints on advice. Working effectively with parents, the administrator stresses the importance of listening to their concerns and not taking things personally. Also, empowering parents to become advocates among the special ed community. They also have a special education parent advisory committee that provides resources and strategies to parents in the community. The special education teacher says that effectively working with parents is one of the most important parts of the job. Daily communication is necessary, and communication logs between the teacher and therapist that are updated will keep everybody in the same loop and working towards common goals. The paraprofessional says that she meets regularly with both parents at least 2 times weekly. She has a very good rapport with the set of parents, and that if there are any incidents, she'll discuss those incidents day of. So takeaways from that is it's a very important thing to work effectively with the parents, and those lines of communication must be constantly open, and parents need to feel that they always can voice concerns to the administrator, the special education teacher, and the paraprofessional. Working with regular education teachers, the administrator believes that they should be collaborating in the planning process. So both the regular education teachers and the special education teachers should be taking ownership of the class, that it is one class that they are both a part of. The special education teacher says that it's important that students in the classes should be unaware of who the special education teacher is there to service, so that there's not a negative identification. That it's helpful when the special education teacher does have their own desk in a room, so there are 2 teacher desks, so they have their resources at hand. That they should both be educated in each other's roles so they can plan accordingly, and that both teachers should be involved in providing the modifications and strategically phasing out certain modifications over time. The paraprofessional that I interviewed said she does not often work with the regular education teacher on academics. Her role is much more behavioral, so she assumes the role of authority when dealing with student behaviors. The advice for a first-year administrator from the administrator is that he says to jump into the fire. So sit in every meeting, take as many trainings as you can, talk to people such as the director of special services. And if you don't know the language, immerse yourself in it and try to speak the language with the people who are already fluent. The special education teacher's advice is to be open-minded to all students. You're not sure what they go through before walking through your door, and to get trained in all areas of special education, to ensure that the general education teachers have a basic awareness of special education, and to promote collaboration within the school community. The paraprofessional, her advice is to get to know the special ed students as individuals, have meetings with them, asking them about how their needs are being met. The role of the special education teacher and the administrator. The administrator states that the special education teacher's role is to make their students feel like a student, not a special education student. And the administrator's role is to support that teacher so they can provide the resources that make their students feel like students, not special education students. The special education teacher feels that there's this joint role providing data to support the placement of students, and that data should be collected daily to drive the instruction and support the students. And both the teacher and the administrator should be participating in collecting that data. The paraprofessional feels the role of the special education teacher is to modify the lesson so that learning is accessible to all students. And the administrator's role is to ensure the modifications are suitable and effective. The characteristics sought in administrators by the administrator is someone who knows the rules of the game, someone who can interact well with a variety of people. The special education teacher thinks it's important to have empathy and to remember their roots as a teacher. The paraprofessional thinks an administrator should be a good communicator, flexible and responsive, have a desire to know their students as individuals, and be able to jump in and be fully aware of situations in case of absences. By completing this, I feel that I got a really good view of special education from different facets, from people with very strong opinions, but very different daily operating and daily knowledge of special education. Things that I definitely took away was the importance of establishing strong relationships, with the staff, with the parents, with the students, being knowledgeable. So having a general knowledge going into becoming an administrator, then learning specific knowledge applicable to current students, and to have that knowledge ongoing, to set up trainings and resources so that the knowledge can be built upon, especially as policies change. Establishing open lines of communication between the staff, between the parents, between the administrators is a very important aspect of special education, and to be adaptive and responsive to the needs of the staff as well as the students. The standards that I feel were addressed in this, I felt it addressed a lot of the PSEL standard number 8, meaningful engagement of families and community, so A, B, C, and D, as well as PSEL standard 10, the school improvement. I felt that it definitely spoke to A and D of these standards, so I posted them here. I really appreciate you watching my video, and thank you very much for your collaboration and input.